Hello, you're welcome back. Now we are going to simply code this up in Python. And then what exactly are we coding up? Well, we are coding up about 4 or 5 things. First of all, we will have to code these gradients. This is the gradient, the L, the beta one. We will have to write this equation. It's very simple. It's a simple equation. So we simply just write this in one line of code. Then we will do the gradient with respect to B naught as well. Almost the same thing. Then we will write the update of the B1 and then of the B naught, and certainly we will have to put it back into the linear equation function, which is this function. So this one, okay. So in practicality, what we are basically maybe writing, what we are coding is just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one 5. Okay, so let's get down into that. I'll come to the gradient descent. I don't think I need to select any feature because it has been selected here already. If you remember, we selected it here, so there is no need to do that again. I can simply just start from initializing the parameter. Now, the first step we need to do is to initialize the parameter. Remember that when we're doing OLS gives us a formula directly. But for gradient descent, you need to first of all pick any random value of beta 1 and beta naught. And then you kind of try to update it with respect to how you are moving in the gradient. So you need to initialize your parameter. You need to start from somewhere arbitrary. So it makes sense to start at 0, right? Because you can start at any point, but maybe I will start at 0. So it's like I'm starting at 0. Let's try beta 1 equals to 0 and beta naught equals to 0 and see what our loss function will give us, or our cost function. Okay. Then I also need to choose the hyperparameters. As you know, hyperparameters are the kind of parameter that we have to choose. There's a difference between parameters and hyperparameter. Parameter is what will be length. For example, B naught and B1. We don't know it yet. We will have to determine it. It is the model that will determine it. In here, the model determined the B naught to be 54 and the B1 to be minus 25. These two together, we call them parameters. It is the model that will determine them. But as for hyperparameter are the kind of parameter that we will have to choose ourselves in order to help the model learn. Okay, one of those hyperparameter is learning rate. If you remember, learning rate is the size of the step that we are taking. So as I said, it's better to take your step, gradually. So you can do 0.001. Not so bad. Then the next thing here, I will just simply input the number of models that we have. If you remember in the equation we have n. We have n, which is 1 over n. So I need is n. I need to specify it. So n is the number, the length of the observations. So I can easily len of observation or len of df or anything. It's fine. Now I need to find my predicted value. So I will do y hat, or maybe I should just copy the formula here. I can type it again for memory, muscle memory. So where is it? Y hat, okay. I'll copy y hat, Ctrl C, just so you know it's the same equation, so no problem. So y hat. So in this case, I'm trying to predict y hat, but don't forget that my beta naught at this point is nothing but 0. And my beta 1 at this point is nothing but 0. So if I predict y hat, if I just compute y hat right now, if I say, what is the value for y hat? Well, it's going to return a series of everything being 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, which makes sense because at this point, my beta naught is 0 and my beta 1 is 0. So if you do 0 times x, it will be 0 plus 0. It's still 0, okay? So, but at this point, we have not done any gradient descent. We've not done any gradient descent. So let's do the first gradient descent. So to do that, we need to compute this equation, all right? To calculate the B naught, this equation. The L, the B naught. We'll have to do this. So let's type this out. So I will call this the L underscore the, let's say, beta naught. and that will simply be 1 over n, right? Then that will multiply with mp.sum, right? mp.sum, the measured value, the predicted value minus measured value. So which will be y hat minus y. Okay, so we can check that again. It's 1 over n summation, which is mp.sum, then y hat minus y. Simple. Then we will code this up again, which is dl the beta 1. This will simply be the same thing, only that we're just multiplying x with. So I can copy this just for the ease of this. I'll copy this. I'll call this dl the beta 1. 1 over n will remain the same. mp.sum will remain the same, only that in here I'll have to multiply by x, all right? And then I will have a bracket here, okay? Because I'm multiplying this exactly. Now that I have the gradient, the next thing that I need to do is to update the parameters. Remember, at this point, we've not updated the parameters. The parameters still remain 0, 0. So even if I predict my y hat right now, it's still 0. I've not done anything. So I need to update my parameters. And to update the parameters, the formula is also here. The formula to update the parameter is simply to have the multiple of the gradient with the step, and then we subtract from the old one. Okay, so we say b old. In this case, our b old is 0. Okay, because we initialize it to 0. So we are simply doing 0 minus this is the learning rate, which is 0.001 that we defined, and the L, the beta 1, is the formula we just computed right now. All right, so let's code this up as well. That looks simple. So I will say update the parameter. Now I will say my beta naught. My beta naught will simply be the last beta naught, which is still the last beta naught, minus learning rate multiplied by the L, the beta naught. This will be the new value for beta naught. Then let's do the same thing for beta 1. Control V. Let's do the same thing for beta 1. So 1, this will be 1, and then this will be 1. So now the value of beta naught and beta 1 would have changed from 0. It would have changed to something different from 0 based on what the answers here are, and then multiply by the learning rate. So if I run y hat now, you will see that this will not be 0 anymore. Okay, well, it is still 0 because the ratio, I mean, when you compute this and then you multiply with this, you compute this, you multiply with this, the answer is still more or less 0. That is why we are having 0 here actually, but then there is an update. Okay, so let's try to visualize that. I would say okay, let me just copy this to make our life easy. I will copy this again, Ctrl C, and then I'll plot the graph, Ctrl V. Now if I plot the graph, you would see what my model is. My model looks so flat because the mean is 0, the intercept is 0, everything is 0, so it's just flat model. If I compute my metrics right now, I'm sure everything is just going to be, 0 totally. So here, this is the first iteration. As I told you, gradient descent is an iteration. You first of all do the first one, then you do again, you do again, you do again, you do again. So what we did right now is just one iteration. We need to do it again. We need to do it again, again, because this mp.sum y hats, I mean, it keeps going. It's a loop. So how do we do something in a loop? Well, it's quite simple. We just need to use a for loop. You can say for something in something, Okay, so let's put all of this in a loop so that we don't keep writing this code. For example, if we want to do an iteration of 1000, we cannot type it. We have to run a loop. So to run a loop, I will simply just update this. Let's put a loop here. So I will... No, let's just write everything here actually. So the only thing I need to specify here, let me specify something called epoch. epochs equals to 1000. Epoch simply means like number of iteration, the number of time you want to do something. Okay, so I would say, so I would say that, okay, for I in range of the epoch that we select, okay, I actually called it, oh no, imagine I'm writing the actual value. Okay, now for the range of all these things in epoch, the first thing we have to do is to compute this. So I will say, let me just copy this up. Okay, then I'll do this as tab. So it will first of all do this, then it will do this, tab, then it will do this, tab, and then that will be all. Now if we run this, if I run this, you'll see now that my value is no more 0 because it has run this iteration 1000 times. But then if you look at this, we have 21 here. This gave us, if I remember, this gave me 46. So it means this one is even better than this new method that we did. All right. Let's try to update the graph now and see what we have. If I update this graph now, if I just click on run, you would see how this looks like. This looks so bad. It looks so bad because this, it's supposed to go like this. Okay. So what I could do here is that, well, you can update. Let's say, for example, I can update the number, I can update the learning rate. Let's say 0.01. Then I run it again. And then I run this. Now you would see that the shape is different now. The shape is different. So let's update the learning rate again. Let's go more sharp. Let's go 0.1. Maybe this will help. 0.1. You would see now that it looks more or less like what we had before. See, this looks a little bit like what was here. It looks almost the same thing. Let's try to update the epoch again. Let's say instead of 1000 epoch, what if we do 2000 epochs? And then we run this. And then run this again. It's more or less like it's now constant. Because I told you for a linear regression, it's a convex equation. And then we have one global minimum. So the moment you reach that global minimum, there's no way you are going to. You just keep having the same thing. So let's see. Let's compute the... I'll delete this. Let's compute the metrics. To check the metrics, I will simply just copy this code above again. I don't know if I need to even copy all of this. Let's copy it anyway. I'll say Ctrl+C. And I put it in here. And then I run. Now, if you look at the metric is 11.73. What do we have for this? This was also 11.737. 202.9305. This is 9305. You can see. So it tells you that the errors are the same because we have actually reached the global minimum. So let's take a step backward. Imagine when we had this to be 1000 and this was 0.01, or maybe this, when the graph was so bad. In here, you see how bad this is. You see now, if I take the metric here, you will see it will be higher. At this point, you look at have a close look at this. Currently we have 202.935. If I run this, you would see this is like 400. That's a lot. Okay, so because at this point you would see that the model is still struggling. The model is not yet at the global minimum. It's still struggling. So what we did here was that, okay, instead of taking small step, how about we take a big step? Because we don't want to take forever to get to the global minimum. So instead of having 0.001, we are like, okay, let's go more faster. Okay, so that's why I reduce this. And when I reduce this and you plot the graph, you see that the model is still a little bit doing better now. So at this point, this will be lesser than 400, but it will not be up to 200. it will be, if I run this cell now, the value I will have will be greater than 200, but less than 400. Okay, so let's run it. You would see it is greater than 202 that we had, but it is less than 400. So it means the model has improved, but then it's still lesser than the global result. Okay, so what I did next was to maybe take a more sharper step, like let's get to the global minimum faster. Okay, if you want to get there faster. So now if I run this cell again, visualize again, you will see that I've actually gotten to the global minimum at this point. Okay, so if I click this, I would have 202. 202 is the best you can have. You cannot have anything better than this. Because we have confirmed that with OLS. Remember that OLS is an exact method. OLS is just going to give you the exact method. There's nothing you can do about the result anymore. You cannot optimize, you cannot do anything. Unless maybe you want to do like feature engineering, or you want to maybe do some standardization or whatever. But if we are using the same conditions that we used in the OLS and we use it for the gradient descent, it's going to be the same thing for a linear regression. Okay, so at this point in time, there's nothing we can do. Even if you increase the epochs to 10,000, the result will still remain the same. Let's try it. So if I increase the epoch to 10,000 and I run it, okay, it's still running because 10,000 is a lot of iterations. Okay, it's done running. And then if I just take a look at this plot, you would see that it will not change. You see? If you run this, it's still the same thing. And if I run the root mean square, if I run the metric, this will still be 202.93, whatever. See, 202.93051. It's still the same thing. So no matter how many iterations you do, you have gotten to the global minimum. What does that mean? It means no matter how many iterations you do, you have actually gotten to this point. You've gotten to this global minimum. So it doesn't matter how much you go, you have already reaching here. You've already reached here. All right. So this is another method. You would see this method is quite flexible compared to OLS, because OLS just let me change the name of the curve. Let me call this gradient descent curve. Okay. So you would see that, well, as far as gradient descent is concerned, it gives us a chance to have hyperparameter, which means you can tune something. So you can tune the learning rate, you can go faster, you can go lower, and you can tune the number of epoch. Okay, you can go faster, you can go lower, because it is an iteration, it's an optimization. But for OLS, it's an exact method. You can optimize anything. What you have is what you have. Okay, so these are the two methods we can use. As I said from the beginning, gradient descent, maybe gradient descent is not quite something very necessary for linear regression, but it is necessary in some other kind of models. Okay, but I just want to introduce it at the very early stage so that we can know what gradient descent is. And the reason why it's not very nice, I mean, it's good, you can use it, it's fine, but the reason why I think it's an extra step is because a linear function is a convex function, so it has a global minimum, so maybe optimization is not something very required in here. Okay, so see you in the next step, where we will be going to multivariate analysis. So in multivariate analysis, we will not be using just one feature to predict the target. We'll be using all of the features, which means we will be using everything we have in here except cement. All right, so see you there.